So I've been meaning to make a video like this for a while where I want to give all of my best advice and tips and tricks for if you're trying to get into content creation. More specifically, you want to make coding related tutorials and teach people about tech and software. I have made over 1,000 videos and I've learned some things along the way. And so I figured, hey, let's just make a quick video, just help anyone out along the way who might be trying to do the same thing. Because honestly, it's a very hard thing to do. And I think some people don't understand how much work goes into creating a channel. Making videos, planning the topics, recording, editing, publishing, making the thumbnail, making the title, communicating with the comments, trying to keep the engagement up. The list keeps going, right? And again, my channel is a little bit different, right? There's some things I've cut corners on, like my thumbnails, but I'm just going to talk you through some of the most important things. If you're going to start a channel, like follow this advice and it will at least put you above the rest in terms of like growing faster. And by the way, if you watch my channel to like learn about coding, just skip this video. You're not going to get much from it other than if you want to watch me talk, then okay, I guess hang out here for another 20 minutes. Now, the last thing I'll mention is that everything I do on this channel is by myself. I don't hire an editor. I don't hire people for thumbnails. I don't hire people for anything else for research. I just do everything by myself. I edit the videos, I publish them, and I manage all that. And I guess that's the first tip I'd give you is that you need to do everything by yourself so that you have a better understanding of how to edit. I think editing your videos is probably the most important part. As you watch my videos, I can keep my content very concise and to the point because I'm able to chop off the places that just don't really make sense or I messed up with explaining. Getting good at editing, and in my case, I use something called Premiere Pro, which I have opened over here. I think it's like $24 a month or something. I was actually using something called Shotcut for a while. It's like a free open source editor, but I have found using Premiere Pro just helps you get through the editing process a little bit faster. It just runs more efficiently on my MacBook. And also you have the ability to watch at 2x speed, which is super important. If you want to crank out as much content as possible, getting good at editing is invaluable. And I'll talk more about the editing part in just a second. Okay. The first thing that's probably the most important with coding content is you want to be able to explain the topics, right? When someone opens up a video and they want to learn something, for example, about a quad tree or learn something about GitHub Actions, you should start your video with some type of hook. You need to capture the audience so they understand like what they're going to take away watching your video. And I would recommend if you can keep your videos between 5 to 10 minutes, that is a very good average length of a video where it's enough time to kind of explain a concept, give an overview of it, maybe show how it works without being so long that someone's not going to click the video. Now, what do I mean by a video being too long? Honestly, when I'm scrolling through YouTube and I see other people, if I see a tutorial that's like 40 minutes, I'm probably not going to click it, right? If I see a video that's like 7 minutes, I'm more likely to click it. If I see something that's like 3 or 2 minutes, like to me, I just don't think there's enough time to really digest what's being taught. Like that should have been a YouTube short. If you're going to make a video that's 3 minutes, you should have just done a YouTube short. Like even Theo and other people like the Prime and Jen, they make videos that are so long and I'm like, dude, I don't have time to watch that. I literally don't have time to watch this. Like the only time I'll watch a long video myself is if it's a podcast. So like watching this where two people are kind of talking about stuff. Yeah, maybe I'll watch a podcast and, put my earbuds in and just listen as I'm cleaning or doing dishes or hanging out. Here's another one, the Syntax podcast. I will listen to that. But if there's something I just want to learn, like I want to learn something about GitHub Actions, I would expect the video to be 5 to 10 minutes because I think that's enough time to just get an overview of it. And then everything else that's too long, it's going to be a waste of time. So that's my first tip that I've learned by making 1,000 videos. The videos that are going to help you get the most views should probably be around 7 to 8 minutes. And again, these are just things that I have found work for me. Maybe you have a different type of content. Also, this video is going to be all over the place, right? I'm just kind of going off the dome for information. So you're going to be very disorganized. And that's something else I kind of say that has helped my channel. Sometimes not having a plan can help your content be more organic and feel more authentic. Let me say that last word, authentic. That is a very important thing to have when you're building out a YouTube channel. And one of the best ways to make authentic content is to not script everything. Some people on YouTube will script the entire video and they will spend hours with the script and they will read the script. But I have found that us as humans can really tell when someone's reading a script versus when someone's just like YOLOing it. Okay. Like for example, I just said the word YOLO. That was just, it's my personality comes out and people like watching that. So if you make videos, try to find a way to have your personality shine through. And if you don't have a personality, try to make one up, right? Become better at comedy, be fun, be energetic, be engaging. These are things that people are more likely to stick around if you can keep them energized, you can keep them interested, right? We are basically watching a video of me sharing some code. That's boring. That's extremely boring content. And it takes some modulation of your voice, right? Get excited. Keep them captivated. If you're excited about something or you're frustrated about something, let that come out in a video. I think it just helps be more authentic. Another tip I would give is have your webcam on. Maybe you don't feel like you want to be on camera, but I think people come and watch a YouTube channel for the people, right? People will click on a thumbnail just because Theo pops up in the thumbnail. They don't care what the content is. They'll just click it because they want to see Theo talk for a little bit. Primogen comes up, they'll click it because they want to see Primogen. My face will pop up and they'll click it because they want to watch me for some god unknown reason, right? So I would say having your thumbnail somewhere on the page, and my recommendation is to have it just like mine. Why? Because if you have it in the bottom right, these little things, these timestamps will cover your face. Okay, these are the things you have to think about. Where's the best placement of my webcam? Probably the top right. So again, what am I trying to highlight here? You want your content to feel engaging. You want it to be authentic. You want it to be energetic. If you come up here and you just monotone talk, I can tell you through the 1,000 videos I've made, if you scroll back to some of my older content, I have been compared to Squidward. You know Squidward from SpongeBob, the guy who talks with like a really monotone voice? I have been compared to him, and that hurt a little bit. That actually kind of hurt a little bit because he's like a boring character. No one wants to watch SpongeBob for Squidward. They want to watch for SpongeBob, okay? Maybe you haven't watched SpongeBob before. Maybe that analogy is just not very ringing home with you. But yeah, I guess what I'm saying is be a character that someone wants to watch, right? That's why the Primogen is so popular. He's very energetic. He's very exciting to watch. And he's one hell of an entertainer. While we're still on the topic of presentation every video, I want to still talk about the webcam because I do think it's very important. I noticed a huge spike in my views when I started adding the cool little color lights and the little Edison bulb light back there. Also, I have 2 front-facing lights. These are like, I don't know, 20 bucks on Amazon each. And then I have some acoustic panels on my wall. Okay? The aesthetics of your videos and your channel is very important. You want it to feel like a production quality, but you don't have to spend a bunch of money to make it production quality. Again, you want your face in the focal point, and you want the lights in the background just as like a little bit of up the ante a little bit, right? Make it look a little bit more pleasant. If I turn those lights off, it would look kind of boring. It would just be me with a dark background. The lights just add an extra layer to it, which you can go into like color theory. You can get like a nice camera that has like a focal length of 1.4 and stuff like that. But it doesn't matter. The point that someone's watching your coding video is to learn. They want to learn something new. So you should be teaching them something new. But again, having that connection with the audience. People can see me. Every once in a while, I look up the webcam. I talk to you guys. It almost acts like I'm sitting next to you. I'm teaching a friend. That's very important to keep in mind. Don't just keep staring at your code the whole time. Remember that you have a camera that you should go and talk to. So if you're going to be a webcam, at least go and buy some differentiating lighting in the background, front lighting. And the next thing I want to talk about in terms of the setup is the microphone. You want to make sure you have a decent microphone. For the longest time, I used this condenser microphone. It was like 99 bucks on Amazon. But it also requires an audio interface to connect to, so that could run you 150 bucks plus 99, maybe 250. Having a good microphone, honestly, I would say invest in this first. The webcam, you can turn it off, it doesn't matter, but having a good sounding microphone that is clear and doesn't have a bunch of background noise, like spend money on the sound treatment of your room and the microphone first. And like I said, it doesn't have to be a super expensive one. I used this for the longest time until I got up to like 200,000 subscribers. Recently, I upgraded to the Shure 7B microphone that has the built-in like gain in the mic, okay? Honestly, the mic difference wasn't that much, right? So I don't think it's that important what the microphone is that you have. You just want your room that you're recording in to not have echo. I can't tell you how many times I've watched a YouTube tutorial and they have like echo in the background. You feel like you're actually in an empty room. It's just a turnoff. Like I will just instantly click away from the video. You want to make sure that your audio is crisp and all you can really hear is the person's voice speaking. Now to achieve this, at least in OBS, I just do a noise gate right in OBS and I just use the default noise gate settings. Okay, that can just help remove any unwanted background noise when you're not talking. But you can also mess with the EQ and stuff as well. But yeah, and of course, like keep an eye on your levels. Like I always have a separate monitor up, and when I'm speaking, I can see, let me actually bring this down so you guys actually know what I'm talking about. When I'm speaking, I can see the levels here. I want to shoot for around right there when I'm speaking, You can also like, if you want to get loud, back away from the mic a little bit. Back away. And then also if you want to get quiet and feel closer to the mic, you can kind of do that. If you want to kind of talk about something that might be very important with this coding that I'm about to do. It just matters like how you want to come across and present yourself. And again, you can always boost it later, but getting familiar with like, if you get close to the mic, you get this proximity effect that can kind of change how your voice sounds versus if you want to get loud and kind of back away, it has a different characteristic to it. But I'm not like an audio expert. These are things I kind of learned by watching other videos and just me making videos as well. So we talked about the audio, probably the most important. You need to make sure your mic is good. You need to make sure your room is sound treated. Focus on all of that first off. Secondly, get a decent webcam. I use my iPhone and get some good front lightings and maybe some colored back lighting so you can have some contrast between the subject, which is me, and then my backdrop. Okay, now let's talk about the code. If you're going to be talking about code, you make sure that you're on the good zoom level. People watch coding videos on their phone. They'll change the orientation to landscape mode, I think that's what it's called, or portrait mode or something, and they will watch the code. So if you're not zoomed in enough, I would at least recommend zooming into a 2, and don't be too zoomed in, right? You have to find that sweet spot where like record a video, watch it yourself on your phone, and ask yourself, am I zoomed in enough that I can see the code without squinting or straining my eyes? Or if it's too zoomed in, I can't get the whole context of the code and what people are talking about. Now, this is a very important, so listen up. If you're going to record a video of you teaching and showing code, always keep in mind where your head cam is, right? You have a webcam up here that could be blocking and obscuring some things. Honestly, just get a sticky note, put it over your monitor so that it's blocking your view too. And that'll keep in mind that like, hey, I actually need to move something over. If I were to like split code 3 times, I remember that this stuff is probably not visible to you guys. Same if I'm, going through my debugger over here. I got my debugger open. You guys probably can't see any of this stuff. That's something that you have to keep in the back of your mind at all times so that when you're recording, just like remember to switch or remember to, go into mobile view so that people can actually see your logout button. I don't know how many times I've actually obscured stuff in a tutorial and I'm like, dude, I have to re-record that part. It's a pain. So keep that in mind. Okay, when it comes to the tutorial itself, have a plan. A lot of times if you're doing longer tutorials, I'll actually code up an entire project beforehand just to make sure I know what I'm about to code. And then I will recode it with the camera on, recording live, and just kind of walk you through the process. I would say always keep the recording going, and then remember that you can edit it later on. That's the most important part. So sometimes I'll be coding, and I'll mess something up. I'll explain something poorly. Well, remember that you can just Command Z and undo what you did, and then start fresh. Okay. Sometimes you can actually clap loudly on your audio so that you can find that spike and go back and quickly edit that. A lot of times I'll just take a 5-second break so that I'll have like a big gap in my audio. So for example, if I go over here, I'll see like a giant empty gap in my audio and I know that I need to edit that part. And typically if I mess up 3 or 4 times, I just keep scrolling till I find the last one and I'll just cut that out. So when it comes to making the content, how do you script? I have never scripted any of my videos. Everything is just like live, and I think that's what makes my content feel a little bit authentic. Sometimes I don't explain stuff very well in one video. The next video, I'll explain it really well. But one thing I always do before my videos is I understand what I'm about to talk about, because most of the stuff I talk about in my videos are things I just spent 8 hours working on during my day job. Okay. So if you need to prepare before you record the video, then do that. Make sure you understand the syntax. Make sure you understand the libraries you're using, how to pronounce the names, how to actually install them, so that you don't waste time. But remember, you can edit. So anytime you screw up, just go back and edit the video and just make it sound better than it was. I'm sure there's a lot of stuff I could talk about when it comes to the actual like teaching part. My most important thing is the beginning of the video. You want to give a hook. Why is it that someone should watch your video? What is it that you're about to teach? How does it solve a problem that your viewers may have? So what do I mean by a hook? Let me just kind of give you an example. Let's say I want to make a video on a library called Act, which helps you run GitHub Actions locally instead of having to keep pushing this YAML file, okay? So I would spend some time just thinking about like, okay, what is the problem and how does this library solve it? Okay, so here is the hook. I'm gonna kind of rehearse this with you all. So I've spent years working as a DevOps engineer, and one of the things that has really eaten up my time is modifying these GitHub Action workflows and then pushing them to my repo just to watch them fail. For example, if I go to my Actions tab in my Survive the Night game I've been working on, often to get these things set up, I have to keep pushing and pushing my changes and watching them fail in this. But instead, there's a tool out there called Act that you can use to run all of this, all your GitHub action steps locally, and saves you a ton of time. Okay, let's pause for a second. That was my hook. I described a problem that you may run into as a DevOps engineer working with GitHub Actions. I listed a solution, Act, that you can install and use to help expedite and tighten your feedback loop. Okay, so what's the problem? What is the solution I'm pitching? Now record 8 minutes of that. Okay, 8 minutes of you walking through the tool, publish the video. I guarantee you're going to get some views. Out of all the advice I can give for good content, that is probably the most important. Start with a good hook and help that hook guide you through what the video needs to do. Also, don't over elaborate on stuff. There's times where you might feel like you want to keep talking about something. Just cut it short, cut that whole section out, and just fast forward to something that's more important. Your viewers will lose engagement. They will get bored. And so having stuff moving around on the screen is important. Okay, so if you want to do scripting or you want to kind of YOLO it like I do, make sure that every 5 or 10 seconds, you should be highlighting code. You should be typing code. You should be editing code. You should be opening files, right? You should be moving stuff around on the screen to keep people engaged, but also remember that you're teaching. So if you want to slow your pace down and speak about something and really point out something, that's important too. Another thing that's really good to remember is that everyone watching your video has a different experience level. And this is the hardest part about making tutorials, is that you have to basically decide, who is this video made for? Is it made for the complete beginner? Is it made for intermediate dev? Is it made for a more advanced dev? And I think laying that out in your hook, say like, hey, by the way, this is like not for beginners, can be very useful, because to watch a video about Act, maybe you need to know about Docker. Maybe you already need to have Docker installed. Maybe you need to understand a little bit about GitHub Actions work. I kind of just jumped straight into showing a YAML file. Maybe your viewers don't even know what YAML files are. So you have to decide, like, is my audience already intermediate? Have they already been exposed to some of these things? If I spent 30 seconds explaining what a YAML file is that going to bore someone? It probably will. So I just assume you can look at a YAML file, you know what this is, and here's an array of some stuff, right? Now, in terms of the content, how do you generate a lot of content? How do you grow an audience? I have 1,000 videos. A lot of these were YouTube Shorts. I would say YouTube Shorts is one thing that really helped blow up my channel back when I did like these little JavaScript things. So doing YouTube Shorts and doing videos can be very, very good. And if you can publish a video every day and those videos are decently polished, you are going to see results, in my opinion. Doing live streams, I would not recommend. If you want to grow an audience, don't do live streams. Live streams, the best thing a live stream is good for is helping you understand how to teach concepts. The more live streams you do, the more confident you will be at speaking and not having to go back and edit stuff. And, oh, I messed up how I explained that. Let me go ahead and just re-record that part. No, a live stream helps you become more engaging and helps you become more authentic with how you present. And doing live streams help train you for the videos and the shorts, in my opinion. So again, publish as much content as possible, but also the content needs to be useful. Again, if you make short videos where you teach one little topic to someone who might be trying to level up from an intermediate to an advanced engineer, you want your content to basically hit on those points. Okay, so how do I generate the actual ideas for my videos? A lot of the times it's, I'm working on a side project, I just learned something new, or I just did something that I think should be shared to everyone else, and I'll just make a quick video about it. That's my approach, and I have found that it helps with allowing me to produce as much content as possible. Basically, if you work 8 hours a day as an engineer, you should be able to at least teach something that you learned that day. If not, like, what are you actually doing at your job? That's my approach. And so you should be able to make content every day if you're an actual engineer, and there's probably thousands of things you could teach. And then also, don't be afraid to reteach the same stuff. I have 1,000 videos. I guarantee you, a lot of you guys have not scrolled back and watched my older stuff. So I could take a video I've done and I can just reword it, re-record it, republish it, and I bet you guys would watch it. Like, I could probably do this one again. I did this one a year ago, how to get ahead of 98% of developers. If I recorded another one of this, I guarantee you I get a lot of views. Maybe I'll even try that as an experiment, okay? In terms of the title, you want the title to be kind of engaging, but not too clickbaity. I'll admit, I have done some clickbaity titles and I've done some clickbaity YouTube thumbnails, okay? I've kind of gone back and forth between both just to figure out what works best for my channel. Sometimes a custom thumbnail brings in a lot more views for me. Other times, just doing the automatic YouTube selected thumbnail works just as well. I'm kind of an anomaly when it comes to YouTube because I have let YouTube just auto pick all my thumbnails, and I think it just helps my channel be more authentic. But I would say if you are going to make thumbnails, copy some of the big players in YouTube. Copy what Primogen does, copy what Theo does, copy what some of my thumbnails have done. Like this one has done pretty well. 27,000 views. I think it's a pretty good thumbnail. I could work on my thumbnails a little bit. But if you are going to do thumbnails, make sure that they're all consistent. You want your channel to have a consistent look, right? All your thumbnails for your channel should have your face on it at the very least, or have some type of consistent feel to it. Often when you're scrolling, it's human nature to see someone's face first and look at that. You can go and Google that. Like it's like a phenomenon where we will look at someone's face first and then we will go look at the content. So understanding how your eyes track from the person's face to the other parts of the page can be very useful. In terms of the thumbnails, what I've learned is you want to keep it as simple as possible. You want like 3 main things: your face, maybe a little title, and then a subject. Okay, if you look at this one, I have my face, hours wasted. A viewer should already understand what the point of this video is. I wasted a bunch of hours doing something, maybe I'm debugging something, and then there is a picture of AWS Lambda cracking. Okay, so maybe there's a bug with Lambda that I run into. Your thumbnail should tell you what your video is going to talk about within like a second. People have less than a second to gauge if they want to click or not, and a good thumbnail just explains it from like a quick little glance, and then they're going to go to your title. The next important thing about your videos is your title. This AWS Lambda issue was impossible to debug. So some of these power words like impossible, if you can throw some of those in your titles, I find that they help with the views as well. Here's another one: while I never deploy to a VM again. Like that's a very powerful clickbaity title. I don't like doing stuff like this, honestly. Like it gets the views. But some of my latest stuff, my best advice for using Cursor, my advice would keep your title 7 words max. Do not go over 7 words, and you don't want to go under 7 words unless you really have something like powerful to say, like I quit, period. That would be a very powerful YouTube thumbnail title. And make sure that you at least have 1 word that really describes what you're about to talk about. So for example, my best advice for Cursor. This whole video is going to be about the Cursor IDE. Okay. What I've learned from setting up a TypeScript monorepo. There's the keyword, TypeScript monorepo. Sometimes you'll put the keyword in and no one cares about it. This one, if you don't write tests. Okay, so the whole video is about tests. This other stuff is kind of irrelevant, but it's more like clickbaity. You're not going to make it. This is an acronym. A lot of people don't even know what this acronym means, so this wasn't the best title. Also, the thing is, you won't get views unless people know what you're talking about. Like quad tree, most people watching my content don't know what a quad tree is. Maybe they don't care. Like, why would I click it? Why your game? Okay, again, my channel is web development, and when I put the word game in my titles, like people are not going to click it. Although I think this is very important to learn from a computer scientist standpoint. I might actually rename this title to something like the most important data structure I've used. Boom, that's a very powerful title. It is talking about a data structure called a quad tree, but you know, it's just stuff like this. You have to kind of play around with the titles, and I think a good title is actually more important than a thumbnail, as you have seen all my YouTube auto pick thumbnails. Like, how web applications are secure. That's 5 words. Security, that's also going to be a buzzword. Anyway, I think it's just that type of stuff. Okay, so I've been rambling for a while now, and that's kind of my strategy when making videos is I'll just ramble, and then I'll edit out all the bad parts in the editing process. So let's actually go to the editing process. Once you have the title and the thumbnail pretty good, and you have like the actual content of the video good, and you have your setup good, and your camera and your audio good, the final touch is the editing, right? You want to be good at editing. I would honestly recommend watching through your videos at 2 times speed. Websites, one thing that's probably important they should be doing. Okay, this is how I actually edit my videos. I'll watch through 2 times speed. And also when someone makes a pull request to your code. And then I will just cut out the sections which I think are bad. Write some GitHub actions to, just like this. There is this test right here. Okay, so again, every single video that I've made, I've watched through the entire thing. And I would recommend to critique yourself, right? Some videos when you start off are going to be bad. You're going to be very poor at explaining topics. And re-watching yourself and critiquing yourself and like, oh, how could I have said that better for the next video? Don't get hung up on a video if you don't think it's good enough. Just publish it, right? Edit out all the bad parts, kind of tighten it up so it's like fast-paced, concise, get it out there. You might get 10 views, you might get 100 views. Learn from that and publish the next video. Okay, again, like I said, you can come back and remake the exact same video using the same title, but just explain it better in the next round when you have more subscribers or more viewers, and you are probably going to see that it's going to perform a little bit better. Keep on that snowball effect, right? As you get more subs and more views, every video you publish is going to basically get more baseline views and subs because the algorithm is going to kind of promote you to a bunch of other people. and you can kind of just build upon that momentum at every step of the way. All right, I think that's good enough information. If you want to start a YouTube channel, you want to teach people how to code, I guarantee you, if you at least follow some of these advice and tips that I give you, like, you're going to come out on top. You're going to get some views. You're going to get some subscribers. People are going to watch you because A, they like you, and then also maybe they like the way you teach. Again, if you're making educational content, making sure that you figure out a way to package and deliver the educational material for the viewer is probably the most important thing. Like, I could even turn my webcam off for videos, and I bet you people would still watch me because I've been told I'm pretty good at teaching. So focus on that. Learn how to present better, learn how to teach better, and you will see the results just come in over time. All right, that's about it. Have a good day. Happy coding, and good luck making your content.